It was last century. There was the true light, even the light which lighteth. Look at all this poetry around light, 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 light. And this is what they like to do. Paul does this too in his polemics. Which lighteth every man coming in the world. He was in the world, and the world was made by him. Once more, that swinging back and forth. You call that, your word for that was reciprocity, but I call it, God, I wish I could think of it in let me see, I think I have it. If I look up in my index quick, I think I can find it. If I look up epode, I can find what the other two words were. Or if you guys have a dictionary, you can find it. Do you have a dictionary that has the word epode, E-P-O-D-E in it? That's the third thing. I don't even have it in my index. Missed it. Anyone have a dictionary here? No. Look up epode in your, do you have a dictionary on that thing? Oh, well, don't bother, it's too much trouble. I'm not finding it, yeah. Anyway, there's two other things that come first before epode. E-P-O-D-E. They usually give it in the definition. Yeah.
Stroke?
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. He gave it to me. You don't have to bother. Thank you. Yeah. Hey, where'd you learn that?
Introduction to Poetry, I think.
Which one?
English Introduction to Poetry.
Oh, great. There you go, strophe. So in poetry, Greek lyrical, Roman lyrical poetry is called strophe, antistrophe, epode. In philosophy, it's called thesis. This is what Marx loved. They call it the dialectic in the 19th century. Antithesis, synthesis. It's just clever rhetoric, clever rhetorical devices, well proven clever rhetorical devices, but highly trained, highly skilled. Now the person who wrote this, you have to understand, I'm not criticizing him or extolling him, just saying he's highly trained. And by saying he's highly trained, I mean by that he's an educated, highly educated, sophisticated intellectual of that time, and he has to come from somewhere like Alexandria. He did not, I am absolutely convinced, there were not people like this in Palestine in this period. Now, I don't think Jesus was like this. I don't think John the Baptist was like this. These are much more primitive, sort of charismatic teachers that we're talking about in Palestine. Do you see that, what I'm trying to say? This is very polished. Hope you can grasp that, what I'm trying to say. So what, you say? Well, that affects how historical it is. How much did such a person really know about the history? Or was he more interested in philosophical, making points above his opponents? So, he came into his own, and they were not received, and they were his own, received him not. Okay, that's the first of those accusations that we're going to encounter all the time. That the Jews rejected Christ. That's a very, as we put it, polite form of the accusations that the Jews didn't want Christ. He came to his own, and how does he put it there? Let's see. He came unto his own, and they that were his own received him not. Who? This is not very gradated. Which of his own did receive him? The ruling class, put in power by the Romans, objected to by the mass of the population, ruled over by Herodian Roman agents and Roman governors and priests, collaborating priests that the Jews themselves killed in the uprising against Rome and burned all the Herodian palaces. What, we have a unified country here somehow? This is, again, you see, simplified. Now you say, Eisenman, you're apologizing. No, I don't think so. I'm trying to make it real, not philosophical and idealized. So what do you mean his own? Wasn't Jesus killed because he was a popular leader? Why would he be killed if he wasn't a popular leader? whoever wanted him dead, whether it was Romans or high Jewish priests or whatever, or Herodians, he was, we can approach him in any real way, and we can say there was someone like this who got into some trouble here, right? And the Gospels make it very clear that he's popular, regardless of the death scenes that they portray. And that he can take over the temple, stop commerce in the temple, the people will greet him with palm ferns coming into Jerusalem. There's all kinds of things like that. The high priest debate, better one man die than the whole people, and so on. There are all kinds of indications of great popularity. So what do you mean? What do you mean? What are you saying when you say that he came to his own and they received him not? Who? Which? That's, if I were in a courtroom, I'd rip this to shreds. And this is the kind of simple thinking that you hear everywhere, of course. What is it really pointing at? I think it's pointing at Pauline doctrine. That the Jews rejected Pauline doctrine. That's a fair statement. And insofar as Pauline doctrine represented Jesus' doctrine, you could then make that next step. But I don't think historically that bears out in terms of the events that are being portrayed in Palestine this period. And not just Jesus was popular in Palestine this period. All these charismatic leaders had a popular following in this period. And that's what so angered people like Josephus. They didn't. Josephus' best friend was one of the high priests that was killed in the first days of the uprising, a guy called also Jesus ben Gamaliel. And he talks about that in his autobiography. And in his Jewish war, he's very angry about that. Because Jesus ben Gamaliel and another guy, Ben Annas, another high priest, are taken by the zealots, those he's calling zealots. Josephus makes fun of the zealots. These are the people that supposedly started the war against Rome. He portrays them as dressing up in girls' clothes and using lipstick and so on and so forth. I mean, it's a preposterous portrayal. Because he's so angry at them for killing these high priests that were his friends and his supporters. He talks about Annas ben Annas in the autobiography, but there he doesn't like Annas ben Annas. In the war, he calls Annas the benefactor of the people, whose death made it inevitable that the Jews would be destroyed. But in the war, in the Vita, he says Annas was a cheater.